Italian Football Podcast.
What we're going to do now is we're going to do our predictions for the new Serie A season. We're going to go through one by one. We'll start off with the Scudetto winners, Nima. So I am going to go for Inter, as explained before. I think they have the best team, the best squad, the deepest and the most experienced squad, the most continuity. And I think that there's no doubt that they are the favourites to win the Scudetto. Nima?
It's really difficult. Look, I'm not going to say who's going to win it, but I think if Antonio Conte stays, that means that Antonio Conte is going to get what he wants. And if Antonio Conte get what he wants, I think it's a two-horse race between Inter and Napoli. I couldn't tell you who will win. I mean, it's like I said, it's a month left, but yeah, somewhere there. Inter Napoli if Antonio Conte stays, because that means he will have gotten what he wants. And I don't see anyone running away with it with like 15, 16, 17, 19 points, clear of the second spot. I think it's going to be much tighter than that. But I think it's, as things stand today on the 6th of August, I think it's Inter and Napoli.
Yeah, of course, this comes with the caveat that there's still 3 weeks to go in the transfer window. A lot can change. So don't post this like in April next year and say, "Oh, look what Carlo and Nima said."
Yeah, don't. No. We're going to go when the Mercato closes. That's when I'll come with my full list of we both will with our full list of who'll do what and what not.
Okay, Champions League qualifiers. So let's go. When I say Champions League qualifiers, obviously 5 qualified last season. Let's say top 4.
Top 4
teams that are guaranteed to be in the Champions League. So I'm going to go for, and this is not in any order necessarily, I'm going to go for Inter, Milan, Juventus, and Napoli. I originally thought that I couldn't call it like 4 from the 5, including Atalanta. But with what's happened with Scamacca now, and if Koopmeiners leaves as well, I just think that could be the difference between Atalanta getting in or out of the Champions League places. So I'm going for those 4.
I have the exact same 4, and I've got nothing more to add. It is going to be those 4 that end in that finish top 4. That's how I see it. Maybe Roma can threaten Napoli or Milan for 5th, but that's
if there's one of those 4 that maybe don't get in, it would be Juventus on the back of having a disastrous end to the
Juve or Napoli.
Because I think if this Juventus team that we see right now on August the 6th plays the Serie A season, I actually think they probably won't get in the top 4 with this current team they have. But I expect a lot of players to come in between now and the market that makes them a definite top 4 team. So let's see what happens. Europa League and Conference League qualifiers. Again, we're basing this on the idea that 1st to 4th is Champions League, 5th and 6th will get Europa League, because I'm going to assume that the Coppa Italia winners are a team that's in the Champions League or Europa League, and then 7th gets Conference League. So let's assume 5th and 6th Europa League, 7th Conference League. I am going to say Atalanta and Roma for 5th and 6th. Atalanta 5th, Roma 6th. And then I think that's definite. I'm pretty confident that the top 6 will be Inter, Milan, Juventus, Napoli, Roma, and Atalanta. I'm almost certain of that. Then the question is who comes 7th, and I think that is really, really hard to call. I think there's Lazio, there's Fiorentina, there's Bologna, maybe. And then, is there a surprise? Could there be a surprise team? Like Bologna were a surprise last season, even though they ended up finishing higher. Is there a Torino, a Monza, even a Como? I would say maybe even a Genoa. Genoa have looked pretty good in pre-season. Obviously, they might lose Goodmanson, which would be a very, very big blow for them. So I wouldn't rule out a surprise team coming 7th, because I don't think that Lazio, Fiorentina, and Bologna are strong enough that we can guarantee one of them will finish 7th. So 5th and 6th, I'm certain. 7th, impossible to call right now on August the 6th.
Yeah, no, I think the top 6 are exactly that. Inter, Milan, Juve, Napoli, Roma, Atalanta, not in that order, But those are the top 6. Fiorentina, Lazio, just outside the top 6. That's my top 8. I couldn't tell you in which order they're all going to finish, but my top 4 are Inter, Milan, Juve, Napoli, and then Roma, Atalanta for Europa League, and then Lazio, Fiorentina.
You still think Lazio will do it? Okay, that's
no. I think Lazio, Fiorentina for Conference League 7
could be out of those two. Yeah. I mean, I think that 7th place may get a low points tally this season. So that's the reason why I think a surprise team could nick it. Maybe, you had it was the same last season, wasn't it? I mean, we had Napoli in 10th, and you had Torino with the 3rd lowest goal tally in the league that were nearly got into Europe last season. So I mean, obviously, we hope that our teams do well in Europe again, and then we get more places in Europe. I don't think that will be the case because of the Champions League this season, but we'll see. Relegation, though, I know this is your favourite topic, Nima. No one loves a relegation race more than you. Last season, it was Frosinone, Sassuolo, and Salernitana who were relegated to Serie B, who maybe you wouldn't have had down for relegation at the start of the season, and then they all went down. So it would be quite fascinating to see. But the newly promoted teams are Parma, Como, and Venezia. So first of all, I guess we should speak very quickly about the promoted teams. What do we expect from them? I mean, Venezia 3rd in Serie B last season with 10 losses. Their signings haven't really done much. They've got Di Francesco as coach. For that reason, I have them as a team to go down. Como, as we said, they've spent so much, and I think they will continue to spend, and they will spend loads in January if they're in trouble as well. So I think Como will stay up. And Parma, they've looked good in pre-season. They hammered Atalanta, and they seem to be well. They haven't signed many players. They seem to be very well drilled and very, very fluid team that understand everyone. So I think they could potentially stay up as well, maybe Parma. But I would say the teams right now, if I had to pick 3 to go down, I would say Venezia, for the reason I said. Empoli have lost a lot of players this summer. And like last season, I look at their attack, Giazzi, Esposito, Caputo. I think they've just signed to Colombo. Yeah. Even with Colombo, who I hope breaks up, because I think the talent is there. But I ask myself, where is Paul Pogba? I ask myself, where are the goals coming from? Where is Paul Pogba in all of this?
Where's Paul Pogba in all of this?
But where are the goals coming from Empoli? I ask myself, and D'Versa as coach as well. So I think Venezia, Empoli, and then I'm looking at maybe Cagliari, maybe Lecce, maybe. Although Lecce, I trust in Corvino to find the players to keep them up. So I trust in Lecce. Verona, maybe. It's tough to call.
It's very tough to call, and that's why the relegation battle is so beautiful. But I think Empoli, Venezia, Hellas, Cagliari are the main candidates. Parma, I think, will stay up. Lecce, I think, should be able to stay up. Udinese, I'm a little bit concerned about, but honestly, I am really worried about Torino. This has been a disastrous summer, in my opinion, for Torino. This has been absolutely terrible. They haven't.
The defense is completely new defense.
It's a completely new defense. They have Paolo Vanoli in charge, which makes absolutely no sense to me. There's so much going on. They've lost their entire defense. Buongiorno is a huge loss for them. The attack was a problem before. I'm not entirely sure Che Adams is going to be the answer to their prayers. He's not
going to revolutionize their attack, is he, Che?
No, Che Adams isn't going to revolutionize their defense. Their attack. I'm scared of what they can find themselves in a situation like Sassuolo did last season. I mean, they have. I mean, Bellanova's there. There's talk of him. There's been links of him leaving, going to Roma, but I think he'll end up staying. Zapata and Sanabria don't exactly fill me with confidence up front. Valentino Lazaro, I never liked.
I would say on Torino, I agree that they've gone quite far backwards this summer. If I was a Torino fan, I'd be really disappointed. But I look at the number of teams down the bottom. There's so many weaker teams.
Yes, there is, but so there was Sassuolo too.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
I mean,
I guess there's always the manager angle, but I think
Paolo Vanoli makes
the issue is that last season there was about. I think I remember there was about 8 teams that got under 40 points in Serie A last season. 40 points is generally seen as the magic mark to avoid relegation in any league that's a 20-team league. And there were 4 teams that really had relegation numbers last season, and it was just a case of which teams managed to do the least bad out of all of them managed to stay up. And there's so many of those teams still, in my opinion, this season that are going to be under 40 points. And I look at Torino and I think they've got to be better than those teams, especially with... Zapata and Sanabria, I still think there's enough goals there to keep them up. But then again, I said last season that Sassuolo had enough goals in Berardi and Loriente, and then they didn't stay up. So you can't underestimate the importance of a coach. And
that's exactly what I'm worried, and that they scare me. Torino really, really scares me for this particular reason, and the same reason that I'm also really worried about Udinese, because they barely survived last season.
Well, they've got a certain Alexis Sanchez maybe coming back, so that would be fantastic.
Well, that's just Calcio. That's Christmas Day for Calcio romantics. I mean, him returning back to with next to Lorenzo Lucca, you got Tovan there, and if Samardzic stays, Lovric, if he can return from his injury, who we interviewed, and Biol, who's been chased by everyone.
He was brilliant in the Euros. Yeah,
he was really good in the Euros. But no, I think they've got decent players. I just don't know what to make of this coaching appointment.
Well, we will see. Yeah, no, I agree. He's complete unknown. Let's move on to Capocannoniere. I mean, I have to go for Lautaro Martinez again because I think he will score a lot of goals, but 2, because I'm looking at the other potential contenders, and I just can't make the argument for them scoring more. Osimhen, he's going to leave. Otherwise, I would have potentially put him. Dovbyk, I mean, it's hard to say. Morata, I don't think certainly won't score enough goals. Vlahovic, I mean, he needs to improve massively. And Motta teams don't generally score or create loads and loads of chances. So I can't argue against Lautaro.
Lautaro, Leao, Kvara. I think it's going to be one of those 3.